lives. And despite efforts by authorized agencies in Nigeria to combat the menace, the Nigerian market remains flooded with different unwholesome products. This is a plea to all those who manufacture and sell these goods to desist. Stop this menace of counterfeit products. Let's place value on human lives. And should you have purchased a counterfeit product or unsatisfied with the product, please contact SON or Consumer Protection Agency. This message is powered by Today95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Officer, take. Officer, give me number. No time. Ma, they match am, they go.
What? You bribing the officer of the law? You're under arrest. Let me see your papers. You can go. They're in order. Drive safe, okay?
I don't understand though. No be the same country again. Officer reject bribe. They arrested me yesterday. That yesterday, I go do my papers. See as I pass now. I pass without fear. You too, make you do wetin dey right. For we country to better, it dey for we hand. If you like, do like say you no hear am. To give or to take bribe, na offense.
Una don hear am, abi? You hear am too, abi? You hear am. You hear am well. They themselves, they hear am. Now the voice of the people. Now him bring this message give me. Today 95.1 FM. Now we be the voice of the people.
Like that to me. What on earth did I do to this?
Suicide is a practice that is fast gaining dominance in Nigeria. Suicide is the intentional act of taking one's life. Within the first quarter of 2017 alone, many Nigerians have subscribed to suicide as a means to escaping depression, severe anxiety, acute stress, terminal diseases, lack of money, or hope for survival, mental disorder, or even a heartbreak. The World Health Organization revealed that no fewer than 1 million people die annually from suicide, which represents a global mortality rate of 16 people per 100,000, or 1 death in every 40 seconds. It is also a fact that approximately 10 to 20 million people attempt suicide every year. But is anything worth dying for?
Oh my God.
Suicide is a major public health concern, but it is preventable. Talk to someone when you feel depressed. You can also prevent others from a suicide attempt by contacting the Nigerian Suicide Prevention Initiative on 080-621-06493 or 080-921-06493. Choose to live today because life is beautiful. This message is powered by your premium talk radio, Today95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Wake up to today's quest.
Wake up.
All the news and information you need in one go. Get started with the best of sports, lifestyle, analysis, and Annie.
Can you feel it?
Can you feel it? Wake up to today's quest with Annie on Today 95.1 FM from 6 to 11 a.m. weekdays. Fantastic.
95.1 FM, voice of the people.
And we're back. 8 a.m. Welcome to today's question, Today 95.1 FM. Yeah, because I played that liner, that intro, and I just realized that you must be expecting Annie this morning. But hey, this is Faustina Oputi. I'm back again to do this, and of course, Annie will be back soon, okay? Just hang in there. She's going to be back soon. But it's a beautiful Thursday morning, really. It is very beautiful, cool, and the kind of morning some people would love. And the kind of morning some people would say, you know what, this morning I'm just going to play Bruno Mars's song, the lazy song. Today I don't feel like doing anything. But if you decide to play that song, I need you to take a look at all of the bills waiting for you, okay? Light bill, water bill. Okay, do we pay water bill? I doubt that. But all of the bills, waiting for you to, pay me here and there. I need you to take a look at all of those bills and get yourself up and go to work, okay? Yesterday was public holiday in the state, and I'm sure you rested. If it affected you, I didn't rest. I was here working. But if it affected you, I'm sure you rested or you did other stuff. But welcome back to work, okay? Welcome back to work. Don't play the lazy song today because the bills would not be singing or dancing to that tune with you. They're just going to be waiting for you to pay them. They're calling on you for Sina, pay me. Okay, did I just mention my name? I wanted to mention someone else's name. John, pay me. Yes, that's all the bills are going to be singing or ringing in your ear. So get up and go do something worthwhile with your life, all right? Okay, so the newspapers are up on Facebook. Go to Today95.1 FM on Facebook. We've taken the time to, get the links up there. So you just go there, click on the links, read through the stories, and when you're dropping your comments, do well to reference the paper that you are reacting to. It makes it easy, all right? Makes for a smooth conversation. Reference the headline that you are reacting to. Same thing as you sending your messages and WhatsApp messages, regular text messages and WhatsApp messages. Reference the story that you're reacting to. One of the things that doesn't get your, text read is because, you just talk about other issues. No, stick to the issues, stick to the headlines, react to the headlines. Okay, so stick to the headlines, right? Are we on the same page? I hope we are, okay? Let's go straight to the papers. We've got a lineup of the papers, the headlines. We've got the Vanguard newspaper. There is the Punch newspaper, Guardian newspaper, This Day newspaper, and of course, the Nation newspaper as well. So I'm just going to go through the headlines before we get into details of some of the stories and get to the analysis of the headlines. All right, let's begin with the Vanguard newspaper. Nigeria's security deteriorating, but military has done a good job, says Ahmed Lawan. Nigeria's security deteriorating, but military has done a good job, says Ahmed Lawan. I don't owe you lobby me to pay. I don't owe you lobby to pay, Tinubu tells Wike. I don't owe you lobby to pay. Lobby me to pay, Tinubu tells Wike. Okay, I'm sure this is a story a lot of you are going to be interested in, so we'll get into details of that story as well. Still staying with the Vanguard newspaper, Sudan, first group of Nigerian evacuees arrive Abuja. Sudan, first group of Nigerian evacuees arrive Abuja. Okay. FG concludes plans to explore alternative funding models for Nigeria's oil gas development. FG concludes plans to explore alternative funding models for Nigeria's oil gas development. Okay. Abia Assembly holds parallel sittings as rift deepens. Abia Assembly holds parallel sittings as rift deepens. Still staying with the Vanguard newspaper. My 4 wives, 24 children prove I'll succeed as speaker. Guess who is saying this? Dogwa. Okay, I know. I had to do that as well. But let me take it again. It's on the Vanguard newspaper. My 4 wives, 28 children prove I'll succeed as speaker, says Dogua. Okay. Moving on to the Guardian newspaper. Nigeria to spend next 40 years repaying controversial 23.7 trillion naira CBN overdrafts to FG. Nigeria to spend next 40 years repaying controversial 23.72 trillion naira CBN overdrafts to FG. Still staying with the Guardian newspaper. Project refund, I owe you nothing, Tinubu tells Wike. Project refund, I owe you nothing, Tinubu tells Wike. Corrupt officials sabotaging passport issuance, that's according to Arigbeshola. Corrupt officials sabotaging passport issuance, Arigbeshola alleges. Police officers families to vacate 25 barracks for renovation. This seems like a good news if, they're going to go through with the renovation and then get to other, areas. Police officers, families to vacate 25 barracks for renovation. That you find on the Guardian newspaper. Why I deserve to succeed Gbajabiamila as speaker. This is by Dogua. Why I deserve to succeed Gbajabiamila as speaker by Dogua. That's also on the Guardian newspaper. Senate seeks clemency for Ikwerimadu as Buhari attends King Charles's coronation in London. Senate seeks clemency for Ikwerimadu as Buhari attends King Charles's coronation in London. NAS leadership, Tinubu defers zoning decision after May 29. NAS leadership, Tinubu defers zoning decision after May 29. Let me be sworn in first now before, we hit the ground running. Doesn't like it. Still staying with the Guardian newspaper. Rural electrification, contractors urge Tinubu to prioritize sector's woes. Rural electrification, contractors urge Tinubu to prioritize sector's woes. Everyone seems to be calling on the president-elect. When you take over from May 29, this is what we want you to do. Well, it's not out of place though. 26 days to go. Outrage as Senate approves Buhari's 22.7 trillion naira extra budgetary spending. 26 days to go. Outrage as Senate approves Buhari's 22.7 trillion naira extra budgetary spending. That is on the Punch newspaper. Punch, yes, that's where we are at the moment. APC NWC fails to zone National Assembly leadership seats. APC NWC fails to zone National Assembly leadership seats. Still on the Punch newspaper, ignore telecom tax, Pantami tells firms. Ignore telecom tax, Pantami tells firms. Okay, let's move over to this day newspaper. Tinubu to Wike, I owe you nothing. False request for project refund. Okay, so this is like the talk of the town. Almost all the papers are carrying this headline. Tinubu to Wike, I owe you nothing. False request for project refund. Buhari has set Nigeria 100 years back, says Galadima. Buhari has set Nigeria 100 years back, says Galadima. That headline is on this day newspaper. INEC to prosecute 774 poll offenders, enters working arrangements with NBA. INEC to prosecute 774 poll offenders, enters working arrangement with NBA. Senate Presidency Lawan Omagege planning to alter Senate rules, group alleges. Senate presidency, Lawan Omagege, planning to alter Senate rules, group alleges. Buhari launches new national development plan. Okay, with how many days left to go? Buhari launches new national development plan. Is that right? And finally, today, the Nation newspaper. I won't marginalize any part of Nigeria, Tinubu pledges. Okay. I won't marginalize any part of Nigeria, Tinubu pledges. And, okay, see, I think I still have about 2 headlines. 40% of savings in Nigerian banks now in US dollar, says IMF. 40% of savings in Nigerian banks now in US dollars, says IMF. What does this mean for the Naira, though? And the final headline here, this is from the Vanguard newspaper. NLC TUC kick as Senate OK's FG's 22.7 trillion Naira ways and means. NLC TUC kick as Senate OK's FG's 22.7 trillion Naira ways and means. All right. So those are the headlines. Let's begin from the top. All right. This headline from the Vanguard newspaper. With what Lawan said. Just a minute. Okay. Nigeria security deteriorating, but military has done a good job. A good job is in quotes. That's according to Lawan. The Senate President Ahmed Lawan yesterday said that the security situation in some parts of the country was deteriorating. He, however, noted that the military had done a good job in trying to fix it. Lawan made the comment after the senator representing Plateau North, Estefanus Gang, drew the attention of the Senate to the attacks by bandits in some communities in Plateau State. In a personal explanation to his colleagues yesterday, Gang lamented that bandits had become so emboldened that they gave notice before attacking their targets. But Lawan blamed the worsening security situation on the lack of resources, saying, and I quote, "Let me remark here that the security agencies should ensure that we maintain security in areas that appear to be flashpoints. I agree with you that recently the security situation in some parts of the country has started to deteriorate, but I think the military has done a very good job in improving security across the country, and we commend them for doing so much with insufficient resources. At all times, our focus must be on providing security and improving the welfare of the citizens of Nigeria. I also commend you for bringing this information on what is happening in your senatorial district to the Senate." Now, the Senate subsequently observed a 1-minute silence in honor of all those killed in the attacks. Okay. Emmanuel Nduke, good morning.
Good morning, Faustina. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right. So I need you to react to this one. He says the security situation in Nigeria, in some parts, is deteriorating, but the military has done a good job. And I think at some point he said a very, very good job. Now, looking at the security situation in all parts of the country, especially Benue, Plateau, and every other flashpoint, would you say that, the military or the security agencies are doing a very good job at it?
It's a very difficult issue. If you said the security is deteriorating, and while reading down, I also heard you mention that has started deteriorating.
Yeah.
This means two different things. The heading says the security situation is deteriorating, and you are saying some parts have the security situation in some parts has started deteriorating. That means it's at its rudimentary level, and I don't think we would have been crying the level we are crying, no. However, I think there's also internal contradiction in the statement of Lawan. If you say that the situation is deteriorating or has deteriorated or so, and knowing exactly that there is no time Emmanuel Ndukwe will go and stop the security or improve it. It must be the military. And you are saying they've done very well.
Yes.
I don't know. You see, it's not good to speak from both sides of the mouth. If, for instance, you are blaming, perhaps, the hierarchy of the military, you now tell them that, that perhaps the apex level of the military, who are supposed to manage the other ones, maybe those at the war front, have not done well. It will be very clear. But if you say the military has done well, then why is it that the security is not nipped in the bud? Insecurity is not nipped in the bud. For me, I want to say that the military that is fighting, the foot soldiers that are fighting, have done a tremendous good job. I will agree. But to say in totality the military has done well, then why are we having the problem? The insecurity problem. Like I said, it's not Emmanuel Ndukwe that will stop insecurity. It is known that majorly the type of problems we are having will only be controlled and brought to its knees by the military. And you still have them. Instead of abating, it's increasing. How do you now say, without specificity, that the military, the infantry wing of the military, has done well? And remember that a child can do well, at least when he's under the parents, if the parents mobilize him with resources and all that he needs at each particular time, until he starts fending for himself. If the authority, the political authority in this nation is not treating them well by way of giving them all that they need. For instance, you remember there was a time they said they were going to buy Tucanos and all that. I can't remember the number of them. And that as soon as we got, it was as if it's going to be Paradisa. Once they come, everything will be
peace everywhere.
Good. But maybe several years or maybe months and months, we've not had insecurity a bit. And the Tucanos outside this country. So for me, Lawan should say what is happening. If you are talking about the bandits, it's increasing from, I want to believe, I'm not saying it's the standard though, I want to believe that these bandits are people that are maybe from Boko Haram, who have lost their positions in that place. They are now disguising as this and that, calling themselves bandits, and they call them, venturing into a lot of areas that are very bad. Kidnappers, of course, remember that kidnapping has been in this our side and all that, even in the north. But the level at which all these things are going, I want to believe that the renegades of even the ISWAP and not only Boko Haram, all of them are now changing to become all these bandits and all that. And so the operatives, I keep on repeating, it's not Emmanuel Ndukwe that will do it. If they have not been able to rein in all these things so that insecurity will abate in this country, I can't say they've done well. But I will be very specific to say that those they send to go and fight them have done well, because oftentimes you hear a lot of them have been killed and all that, and a lot have been apprehended and all that. But again, remember, the dampener to the whole thing is that a lot of them that are rounded up ordinarily are supposed to be thrown into maybe some custody and all that. But we hear that they are de-radicalizing them, and later on you bring them back into the society. Who tells you that their de-radicalization will stop these individuals who in the first place you did not lead into such? So for me, Lawan has said his own, but I disagree with him completely. Okay.
The point where he said he was commending the rep member, Plateau North, for, bringing this to the attention of the Senate. Now, at some point, some people said, the people at the corridors of power, our leaders, at the top tier of government, they're unaware of certain things. Now, does this give credence to the fact that there are things that are happening in the country that they don't know about?
For Sina, if you
in terms of security, really.
Good. You see, As it is in security, so is in every other thing. If you are the hem of affair, and then of course you do not know what your subordinates are doing, then you are not discharging your duties very well. If leaders, just like oftentimes you hear President Buhari will tell you he doesn't know.
I'm not aware.
And Emmanuel Ndukwe will never believe that. When you tell me you don't know, then what are you doing being at the apex of authority? Because if you employ somebody, you keep tabs on what the person is doing. You must give him timeline, report to us on this. We want to, it is these reports that are the feedback that are brought back to you.
So what if the feedbacks are not brought back, really?
Good. If the feedbacks are not brought back, then did you ask question? The same thing I will say about NDDC when they said it was doing this way and that way. I said, yes, authorities want them to do that way. You mobilize your son with money and say, go into this trade or whatever. And you are seeing your child is not doing well in that trade. Did you ever call your child and say, come and give account on all these things? I was expecting you to have done this and that, but you are deviating from them. Is it because of lack of maybe resources or whatever? You assess your son on that pedestal. But once you don't do it, then you are even abetting and aiding that your son to go astray. The same thing. So the leaders, when he's telling that, what's his name, that he reported it.
Stephanus.
He reported to them. Well, that's the right thing anybody should do. Everybody, not only those in the Senate or representatives, everybody who has a right. For Senate, the problem is that if you go to police, what do you call it, the police offices and all that, and you report.
Police stations.
If case not taken, you go in for that report because they will detail you and tell you to come and start giving blue account of what you had reported. You just saw this thing happen somewhere. You went and made your report. How should you be? That means you will be barred from engaging in all your activities. And that, of course, is not the right way. And that is why when they brought up this whistleblowing policy, it was not thriving. Because you can become a whistleblower today and then blow yourself into trouble. So for me, I think Lawan should think that he has said something very important. But for me, it falls short of being important.
All right. Let's move on to the next headline here. Still on the Vanguard newspaper. Sudan, first group of Nigerian evacuees arrive Abuja. Sudan, first group of Nigerian evacuees arrive Abuja. Now, the first group of several thousands of Nigerians stranded in Sudan arrived in Abuja on Wednesday after days of trying to escape persistent fighting. According to Nigerian authorities, the evacuation plan covers more than 3,500 nationals, but their total number could be greater. More than 5,000 Nigerians are believed to reside in Sudan, many of them students. Nigerian commercial carrier Air Peace landed in the capital Abuja around 11:40 a.m. with 260 passengers, while a Nigerian airplane arrived a few minutes later with about 90 passengers, AFP reporters. Now, the visible happy returnees were received by the Foreign Ministry and Emergency Services. The fighting in Sudan has killed at least 550 people, displaced tens of thousands, and triggered an exodus of foreigners and international staff. And the Nigerian planes had left Aswan in neighboring Egypt for the 5-hour journey to Abuja after several days of delay at the border. An initial convoy of 13 buses left Sudan's capital Khartoum on Thursday for Egypt, with a plan to fly to Nigeria on Friday, but the group was refused permission to cross the frontier. Egyptian authorities on Monday agreed to let them cross after Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari intervened, according to the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. Another 20 buses prepared to evacuate hundreds more Nigerians still blocked in Sudan. That convoy would no longer travel to Egypt or to Port Sudan, a city on the Red Sea, 675 kilometers from Khartoum, from where they should then fly back to Nigeria, a National Emergency Management Agency spokesperson told AFP. Battles have raged in Sudan since April 15, when conflict erupted between the country's de facto leader Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who commands the regular army, and his deputy-turned-rival Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, who commands the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. After both said, oh, well, this doesn't really concern Nigeria and the evacuees, really. But after so much drama, after being here, embarking on different plans and waiting and seeing, other countries go to evacuate their victims or their nationals, rather, from Sudan. We are here, we're planning this. We have released money. We have bought buses. We have hired buses, and everything. We need to plan, better. The place is not, safe for us to go evacuate the Nigerians. Finally, Emmanuel Ndukwe, we've been able to evacuate.
Yeah, it's just that, you have 200,000 persons. Maybe you succeed in bringing back 5 persons even. You should clap hand and thank God. Especially those that have arrived at Abuja, Nigeria, their home country, should be very happy. Whatever took them to Sudan is a different decision.
Yeah, different. Yeah.
But I tell you, I think government should do whatever they are doing. It's better late than never. Let them bring back all of them. Because I wouldn't know exactly what Asorok himself will say. Because eventually, when we are talking about Nigerian, is it what they call this, diaspora something?
Yeah.
When we are talking about them, as if they are in charge and all that with the foreign ministry, when it happens, the head will bear the brunt. Now tell me, a lot of countries have evacuated their people from Sudan. I don't know whether this our drama is what they are going through. Since they started, and it's just yesterday night that these few of them, if I were able to get the exact number, it would have helped out. But whatever be the case, at least some Nigerians have been evacuated from Sudan to Nigeria. We thank God for that. And those people that are here in Nigeria should be most grateful to God for whatever happens.
Yeah,
they are in Nigeria.
But there was so much drama around this evacuation.
Yes.
The money that was released, and like you said, we're here. Other, nations went to evacuate their citizens, even when the war was raging. And there was the excuse by the Nigerian government that, it is not safe for, Nigeria to go evacuate its victim.
Yeah.
But then again, we had other countries. Does it mean that we don't prioritize the safety of our nationals in other countries?
Faustina, you see, the theatrics in Nigerian governance is not what I want to delve into. Because if you tell me it's not safe, it was very safe for other nations. What is happening in Sudan is only they find the right is Nigerians should not come in and evacuate their people.
Maybe we didn't have
it's
the military.
Unfortunate. You see, that is why I try oftentimes to leave those kind of area, because it will anger somebody to start looking at assessing this our country, what the country is doing for us. Now, tell me, this is a war that is developing gradually, and people are crying to their nation to come. I think that's what a nation should do to its citizens that are caught up in a situation that will bosom into full-fledged war. But like I said, better late than never.
Okay.
So as these people are back, let them thank God, and let them also do whatever, even with snail speed, because we are indeed, it is peculiar to us, the snail speed in doing things that are very possible, that can be done with dispatch, but we always will be moving with a snail speed to do it. However, this number of them are in Nigeria. let them also do like that and bring back the rest.
The rest, okay, regardless of if they were
what else?
documented, because they complained about a lot of undocumented Nigerians in Sudan.
Who will document them? Is it not instructions from the government that will aid? Are we saying that the embassy there in Sudan, that they don't know what to do? Give them instructions. They will execute the instructions. And if these people are not coming, whoever is not documenting when government wants them to document their names, then stays in Sudan and enjoy it. That is the truth.
All right. Okay, we have joining us in the studio this morning, Dr. Obidima, journalist, international affairs analyst. Good morning, sir.
Faustina, good morning. It's long I've seen you.
Yeah, it's been a while. Good to see you on a rainy Thursday morning.
In fact, these Thursdays, I think Emma will review it. Last Thursday.
It rained?
I had this bat also.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're talking about finally Nigerians in Sudan being evacuated, some really. So after a lot of back and forth by the Nigerian government, finally some have been evacuated.
Well, Nigeria is a country that do not understand the working of the international system. And that is why globally, as at now, there's so much disrespect on the nation Nigeria, including African countries, other African countries. In diplomacy, there's what we call anticipatory policy.
Okay.
And if you don't have policy planners, in fact, those who plan, who can anticipate some certain situation ahead. The issue of Sudan is not a sudden something. For over 2 years, we know what is going on in Sudan. There have been protests for the military to leave. And that situation was leading to crisis. And Nigerian government, whoever is the ambassador there, whether is sending report to the home government, that's what I cannot say. But if it is so, and the government is not prepared to do something needful up to the time, we had this kind of emergency, then it's not a serious government and cannot be reckoned. These are the things they use to evaluate a country within the international community. And that is why today, both in peacekeeping, both in holding sensitive international position, Nigeria is relegated. It's no more there. They look towards South Africa, look towards Rwanda. There was this peacekeeping thing, I think whether in South Sudan or so, Nigeria was drafted. Nigeria was to head that mission, that peacekeeping. But suddenly, a Rwandan army general was asked to head this thing. Because one, corruption in the system also affects whatever we are doing externally. There was a time soldiers protested who went for peacekeeping for not being paid. And that thing was a damaging situation for this country's image. So, and I've also queried why this special advisor on diaspora, there have been a kind of conflicting activity between that office and Minister of Foreign Affairs. In fact, that office is supposed to be there should be a desk of diasporans. I think they should also, maybe they have it or whatever. You don't know where the Minister of Foreign Affairs is coming in. You don't know where the special advisor on diaspora,
Nigerians in diaspora
are coming in. So, and this thing creates a lot of policy issues. These are the confusion. You don't know who is directing. You don't know, the ambassador may not know who is he or she going to send report to. It will tell you that, one, in our foreign policy issues, professionals should be drafted in, not not career diplomas from politics and all those things. All they are just doing is just to money. You can imagine how shameful it is, Nigerian hiring bosses to evacuate our citizens to Egypt, and Egypt stopped them. It's a shame. A giant, the so-called giant
of Africa,
is treated like a rat of Africa. You know, that is, we have to do a lot. A lot has to be done. But unfortunately, those who are coming to political offices don't know what foreign policy, international relations means. It can make you to grow your economy. It can also make you to underdevelop.
All right.
If you really understand. Well, we thank God. I don't know the extent peace, air peace went into this because there was a back and forth issue. You know, I don't know to what extent. You can imagine over 3 million Nigerians trapped in Sudan. That is a huge number. And we didn't care. Not even whether they are dying or not. America cannot do that to its citizens. Okay. I don't know the issue, the citizen diplomacy they said they developed some time ago. Whether they know implementation is another issue. It's not just mounting it, citizen development as part of a foreign policy program. And when the time is there to attend to the needs of your citizens outside the country, you have found one thing.
All right, let's move on to the Guardian newspaper with this headline. Senate seeks clemency for Ekweremadu as Buhari attends King Charles's coronation in London. With less than 48 hours to the sentencing of former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu, the Senate yesterday passed a motion seeking clemency. In March 2023, a United Kingdom UK court convicted Ekweremadu and his wife, Beatrice, on charges of organ trafficking. Also convicted was a medical doctor, Obinna Obeta, who was said to have facilitated the travel of a young man to Britain with a view to exploiting him for that purpose. Justice Jeremy Johnson handed down a guilty verdict on the defendants in London at the end of the 6-week trial. The Metropolitan Police had last year arrested Ekweremadu and his wife for luring a young man from Nigeria to the UK for the purpose of organ harvesting. In a unanimous adoption of a motion sponsored by Minority Leader Chukwuka Utazi, the Senate pleaded that clemency be extended to the Ekweremadus, considering that all the convicts are first offenders. The Senate also said, since this matter was novel in the United Kingdom, a novel approach in sentencing of the convicts should be adopted by tempering justice with mercy, as the publicity already given to the trial was enough warning to would-be offenders. It urged consideration of the long history of good relationship between Britain and Nigeria, stressing that this is the first time the Senate is making this kind of plea. In a remark, Senate President Ahmed Lawan disclosed that he had written a letter to the British judicial authorities about 2-3 weeks earlier seeking clemency on behalf of the Senate. He said, and I quote, "We are now using this particular intervention to seek clemency in the sentencing. The conviction has already been done, but we are seeking clemency because this is the first time our colleague is getting involved in this kind of thing." He recalled that Ekweremadu served as Deputy Senate President for 12 years. According to him, I quote, "Ekweremadu has brought in so much effort to the development of parliaments in Africa and across the world, and he has never been found wanting, and therefore what has happened is very unfortunate and very sad." Meanwhile, the president, that's on the president, but this is the Senate, seeking for clemency, putting out all the reasons why, they've got to seek this clemency. They've got to be lenient with him. They've got to temper justice with mercy. First-time offender, he has been doing well, and, the publicity of this trial will serve as, a deterrent to would-be offenders. So all of these reasons given, Emmanuel Ndukwe, do you think these are reasons enough to, seek clemency? Or what do you think about this, call for clemency?
Well, you see, Faustina, it's not too bad for a man who has erred and had accepted his conviction for his colleagues to plead for clemency on his behalf. But you know that it's just like I ask you for any favor. I'm not forcing you to oblige me that favor. Understand? They may seek that clemency for all the litany of reasons given, which of course are genuine though. But will the British authorities, the judicial authorities, listen to them? That we shall see, maybe in the weeks and months to come. That the president is going, or maybe are we leaving out the president's angle? Because it says,
it's going to London for the coronation of
You know,
King
one
Charles.
thing for Sina is that Britain is not Nigeria. It is in Nigeria in fact, somebody may go wrong on something and is judged to have been so. He has seen it. Also, he has owned up being wrong himself and all that. Now, some influential humans could go and then tweak the situation, and the person will have enormous clemency. The British authorities, Prince Charles, their king, I think he is now King Charles, will not, in fact, have any cause to maybe meddle into what the judicial processes of British government entails. So it will be quite difficult. The only thing is that let us hope, because I have the right direction.
But let's talk about the president's visit. Is it going to, solve anything? Is it going to affect anything regarding this case?
On this particular one?
Yes.
Except the British authorities have changed. I doubt. Because if their laws are outlined, I don't see Prince Charles going to interfere. The laws are out and they are very plain. Whatever happened, the Kuremata, I want to believe, didn't know about all this. Now, the issue is that, remember they said is it a new case or whatever? They mentioned something like that.
Yeah, novel case.
Good, novel case. The truth is that he's been convicted. And if the clemency they are begging, if, for instance, they will give him whatever number of years, and some few years are removed, that's fine. It's enough clemency. But to accept to do that is in their hands.
All right. Dr. Obidima.
This is where we are now going to compare the institutions in Nigeria and that of UK.
Okay.
Prince Charles does not possess any power. Or King Charles does not possess any power to interfere, not even the Prime Minister.
No.
In the court process. In fact, that would be scandalous. It will a kind of overturn British established system of handling issues. And two, whatever resolution they have passed here for clemency is just on moral grounds. It's just to persuade. But that will not change the issue, because if the British court heeds to that, they may be setting a dangerous precedent, very dangerous precedent. Because anybody caught in that act next time may make reference
to this case.
To this case. You granted so person clemency, why should I be denied? So the Lord takes his course. And that now, beyond this, I think both the West, America, they should not go into exposing those who looted our money and charge them to court. Yeah. Expose them and put them on trial the way they are doing here. It's not just collecting our money, generating interest and developing the economy, and they will not help us to know them. They will not shame them. But when it comes to a matter like this, you see, this is where we say that the West appear really not to be serious when they are dealing with African nations. It's the thing that they have much interest. They tend to. Those ones that will benefit them, they try to play politics around it. You know? So, will the Senate also not pass a resolution in that line, calling on the West, expose those that are stashing their money in their private account in their banks, so that things will go, because they are all guilty. Ekuramadi is a lawyer, a PhD in law, and they cannot tell me as a lawyer that you will not, let me put it this way,
okay,
not just a medical doctor he contacted. Why not, does he not have a friend in UK that is a lawyer, a kind of get clearance and brief on how to go about all these things? But he went into it. The law caught upon him. And you must face the law. And he has faced the law. It's not here where politicians, they are the law themselves. The law they make is just ordinary paper, whatever they chant for the common man or the masses of this nation, but not for them. First thing I want to say this: if we are a serious minded country, the drug issue connecting Bola Tinubu would by now be being investigated by the security agencies without any formal report.
Okay, I have to bring in that.
Yes, without any formal report. And get to even invite him for explanations. But they treat some people as if they obey the law, and some are subject to the law.
And now,
but this in the advanced countries, in all these democracies, everybody is equal to the law, including King Charles. It's equal. You know, the Prime Minister, Sunak, was found for, I think, driving without seat belt. When he became Prime Minister, not even before he became Prime Minister, and he paid the fine. Boris Johnson was also fined for engaging in a party that...
during COVID, I think.
I hope you are getting my point. So here, all these things, they appear to be minor, but that is how organized society behave. But yeah, they will run against traffic with their convoy. They can even bash somebody and move on. Nothing happens to them because there will be police escort and all those things.
All right. So we'll go on a break now for the news update. When we come back, the program continues. Stick around.
Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people. Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today 95.1 FM.
Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. News update.
Hello and good morning. Here's the news update on Today 95.1 FM Port Harcourt. I'm Faustina Oputu. Justice Binta Yako of the Federal High Court Abuja has warned lawyers to the Department of State Services and the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, against truncating proceedings in the next adjourned date. Justice Yako gave the warning following the proceeding that could not go on due to an oral application by counsel to the DSS, Idowu Awo, seeking more time to respond to a further affidavit served on him by Kanu's lawyer, Mike Ozekome, in the open court. Nnamdi Kanu, through his lawyers, had sued the DSS and its Director General, praying the court for permission to apply for an order of mandamus compelling the DSS to allow him have unhindered access to his medical doctor, among others. Our Chief Magistrate Court sitting in the Sabo area of Yaba, Lagos, has granted bail to a leader of the Igbo community, the Eze Igbo of Ajao Estate, Frederick Nwajago. The 67-year-old was docked before the court for allegedly threatening to bring the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra to the state. Chief Magistrate Peter Nwaka granted the defendant bail in the sum of 1 million naira with 4 sureties, all of whom must be resident in Lagos. Before the court granted the defendant bail, the prosecution had made an oral application to the effect that the remand order of the court still subsists pending the receipt of the DPP's advice. While noting that the DPP advice had not been received, the matter also noted that no acknowledgement had come from the DPP's office on the matter. Residents of Rivers State have differed in their reactions to the postponement of the 2023 National Population and Housing Census as approved by President Muhammadu Buhari. A political analyst, Andy Apotive, in an interview to the FM's Odinakachi Celestine, noted that a credible census cannot be conducted in Nigeria given the prevailing security situation in the country. He also said that the predisposing factors and variables that would have made for the peaceful, easy, and efficient census exercise were not made available. Meanwhile, other respondents who spoke with Today FM called for the total cancellation of the census, while others applauded the postponement, saying it would give the country more time to plan and deliver a credible census. And on the foreign scene, more than 100 people have died after floods and landslides hit Rwanda's northern and western province. Western Province Governor Francois Habitegeko said many houses collapsed on people, killing them, and that main roads in the area have become unusable as a result of landslides. He said the government's main priority now is to reach every house that has been damaged and rescue any person who might be trapped. Rwanda's public broadcaster RBA reports that the casualty numbers are expected to increase as floodwaters continue to rise. And that was a news update on Today 95.1 FM Port Harcourt. Good morning. I'm Faustina Oputu. Thanks for listening.
Today's news, today's entertainment, today's sports, today's issues. Today on Today 95.1 FM Port Harcourt.
Did you know that there are over 8 million listeners connected to our frequency? Covering 6 states across 2 geopolitical zones? Take advantage of our reach and advertise your products, services, events and businesses on Today 95.1 FM. Get value for your money as millions of people get to know about your business. Give us a call now on 0818-389-2850. Again, 0818-389-2850.
Officer, take. Officer, give me number. No time. Ma dey match am. They go.
What? You driving the officer of the law? You're under arrest. Let me see your papers. You can go. They're in order. Drive safe, okay?
I don't understand though. No be the same country again. Officer reject bribe. They arrest me yesterday. That yesterday, I go do my papers. See as I pass now. I pass without fear. You too, make you do wetin dey right. For we country to better, it dey for we hand. If you like, do like say you no hear am. To give or to take bribe, na offense.
Una don hear am, abi? You hear am too, abi? You hear am. You hear am well. They themselves, they hear am. Now the voice of the people. Now him bring this message give me. Today 95.1 FM. Now we be the voice of the people.
Every day, we hear reports about counterfeit products, stories of fake drugs, foods, expired goods and other consumables being manufactured, imported and sold to unsuspecting members of the public. Findings reveal that Africa records at least 100,000 deaths from fake drugs-related ailments yearly. These fake and substandard products, particularly drugs, have been considered a global threat to human lives. And despite efforts by authorized agencies in Nigeria to combat the menace, the Nigerian market remains flooded with different unwholesome products. This is a plea to all those who manufacture and sell these goods to desist. Stop this menace of counterfeit products. Let's place value on human lives. And should you have purchased a counterfeit product or unsatisfied with the product, please contact SON or Consumer Protection Agency. This message is powered by Today95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
You also say
don't worry you.
We're passionate about it.
We love talking.
We are
your number one talk radio station, 95.1 FM.
When the weather becomes strict and everything becomes unsteady, the only way to go is tune to Today 95.1 FM. And the world of information, entertainment, and education will be served as breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Welcome to the show. You're listening to today's Quest. The newspaper review segment is what we've
Now
got.
who says I can't bring the party to your house right now? Because, even if it's raining, I still bring the heat right here.
I am here for you, and I know you are here for me.
It is surely the best 15 minutes of football you can find anywhere on radio.
Back here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. Today, 95.1 FM. Nothing but the best. Nothing but the best.
Did you know that there are over 8 million listeners connected to our frequency, covering 6 states across 2 geopolitical zones? Take advantage of our reach and advertise your products, services, events, and businesses on Today 95.1 FM. Get value for your money as millions of people get to know about your business. Give us a call now on 0818-389-2850. Again, 0818-389-2850.
95.1 FM, voice of the people.
And we're back.
Okay, 9 minutes past 9. Welcome back to today's Quest on Today 95.1 FM. Before we get on to some more papers or headlines, let me read some messages before they accumulate. Nigerians in Sudan arrived in Nigeria on Wednesday as stated by one of your paper review, and over 100,000 naira. Are you talking about money, your people? And 25,000 naira worth of recharge cards was given to each. Okay. Each and every one of them. Please, can these Nigerian people who they said that they have arrived to speak to us, for us to believe that all of this is true? Don't be surprised that before the end of today, another news will break out debunking this one we just heard from your studio this morning. That is Nigeria for you. Good morning for Sina Ogaima and others. This is from Austin Just. So you don't believe that some evacuees, have arrived in Nigeria? Oh my goodness. Not fair now. Just try and believe Nigerian government for once. They said some evacuees have arrived and you're here doubting that. Okay. Thank you, Austin George.
Nigeria has got.
So sad. The number of my wives and children qualifies me to be a speaker. It is really funny. The House of Rep has become a house of comedy. Wonders will never end in this nation. Ego from Oibo. Okay. And then this one here says, Ekwemado's case, I pray that anybody that has been in a position to better Nigeria but chose to go the other way will also meet this type of thing. They will abandon our hospital here and go there for good health care. Who knows who will be next? Let me make clear here. The society they are busy abusing today will take revenge on them and their children by tomorrow. Let law take its course. Mr. Daniel from Igruta. Okay, Mr. Daniel from Igruta. Thank you for your message. So you can send your messages there, drop them. I will go back there and read some of the messages. But don't forget to head over to Facebook as well. Drop your comment there. Read through the headlines first, okay? And reference the one that you want to react to. That is very important. If you go about just rambling about something, I might not take your comment, okay? I may not take your comment. So just go straight to the point, referencing the paper or headline you're reacting to, okay? And then that will catch my attention. Okay, so let's move on to the papers, the headlines. Coming back to Vanguard newspaper. I don't owe you. Lobby me to pay. Tinubu tells Wike. All right. President-elect Asiwaju Bola Tinubu yesterday said federal government under his administration owes no obligation to make refunds on federal projects undertaken by states of the federation. Tinubu, who was responding to a request by Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State in Port Harcourt at the inauguration of the Rumuokuta flyover during a 2-day visit to the state, however, told the Rivers governor that he could reconsider his stance on the request on the condition that the governor lobbies him. Oh, wow. Tinubu said, and I quote, on the demand you made for refund, I owe you nothing. It's your road. You are the one living on these roads. I commend your efforts. You have to lobby me to collect. Okay. Okay. Attesting to the growing intimacy between him and the River State outgoing governor, Tinubu said, I'm quoting him, my visit to River State is a promise kept, promise fulfilled. If you talk of character, Governor Wike, you are very, say 15 to 30% mobilization. When you give a contractor, okay, let's not get into all of those details of, how much you've got to pay a contractor, for procurement or for whatever it is. But he has said it to the River State government that, you know what, I don't owe you. It is your road. You live in the state. You ply the roads. It is your road. So I don't owe you anything, any refund you're asking for. It's your road. So you've done it. Emmanuel Ndukwe.
Well, I think Tinubu is correct in saying he's not owing anybody. He's truly not owing. First of all...
Federal projects.
Hold on. First of all, he's the president-elect. He's not the president of Nigeria.
That's true that.
Until he becomes, before he will own up everything that belongs to Nigeria. For now, he's at the periphery, not exactly in the thick of the whole activities of federal government. That said, we must also understand that these flyovers, some of them are completed even in this administration now. Buhari is still in office. There was a time they mentioned about before they will be able to pay, that before anybody will scratch anything on their own road, that is the trunk A that federal government owns in states and all that they should let them know. If you remember such. Good. And that means you have to apply and tell them, I want to do this and that on their road.
Okay.
And they will put you in the book of those they will pay. But if you don't, I don't know whatever made it that they didn't apply through this Muhammadu Buhari's administration, and they want to do this through Tinubu, and they will do it best when he becomes president of the nation. And like he said, he's not owing anybody one kobo. But the angle I do not understand from Tinubu is that if you lobby me, I don't understand. Emmanuel Ndukwu, you see, what I don't believe in, I will just say it. I don't understand what Tinubu means by he has said he's not owing anybody.
Yes, but if you lobby me, maybe.
But if you lobby him, then he's owing you. Certain things, I see, I follow words because I'm a student of, what reason, student of reasoning and reason. Whatever he said must have a reason behind it. So whatever he has in mind about that, Emmanuel Ndukwu is not with him in saying that if you lobby me. If he's lobbying him, if it's an instant law, it exists there. If, for instance, he comes in and it is a federal law that you have to refund the states that carried some constructions in your roads and all that, Tinubu has to abide. Except otherwise he mobilized the National Assembly members to repeal that. And if they do so, well, that's where he doesn't. But so long as this veneer of if you lobby me is there, that means they will simply go on with the law that is in existence. For me, it doesn't matter much. As Governor Wike is going, maybe Siminalaye Fobara will come in and then mobilize a way to apply to Tinubu's administration, and they will refund him if he meets the category of those to be refunded.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, Dr. Obidima.
Well, I think yes, we should come to the realization that he has less than 27 days. For we are counting days for him. And to leave office. I don't understand the reason making requests that cannot materialize before he leaves office. So,
you said cannot materialize.
Huh?
You said the request cannot be materialized.
Yes. So are you now also telling us that you will still be in charge after May 29? And that's why you are making such a request?
So, probably making it on behalf of the state government.
What must you make on behalf of the state government?
Is supposed to be
in fact, the point there is that if you have done your project in your own way, without due process of contract award and all those tendering and all those issues, and it feels that to impress people that you missed a project and all this stuff, you just misappropriated our money, and maybe we did this thing, hope that if I support this man and put all you can to support him and cook the result that somebody got and change it in his favor.
Okay, so I'm
thinking that will be the easy way. I think that is just putting himself as a dreamer. What we are saying is that federal government categorically told state governors not to attend to any federal road except there is clearance. And you are doing it without clearance. Federal government is not obligated to refund. Even the one that started from Oyubo going to Afam, that's a federal road. It's stopped. It can't be completed. The place is bad. So, because you're not getting the refund. But the one they told you. Beyond that, Tinubu himself, like what Emma was trying to put his finger about this issue of lobbying. You see the kind of characters will throw into leadership positions in this country? So Tinubu is giving that if we must lobby him.
He didn't say that in this.
No. That's what we must deduce from this. That's what we must deduce from this. Nigeria should begin to ask questions. Nigerians should begin to not know, expect, or know what they will be expecting. If I want to use that preposition, if he's sworn in. And this is also where the international community looks when they weigh in and evaluate the quality of a head of state, the president you are throwing up. They have no business with you. They have no. I don't want, this time will not permit us to really go into how to take the cause as nothing.
Okay.
And this statement, when it is analyzed by international affairs analysts, you will see the kind of thing that this man's statement is going to do to this country.
President-elect Tinubu. You said this man.
Thank you.
President-elect Tinubu. All right.
Thank you very much. Must I use the president-elect?
Oh, you could.
No. You see, this is where I love these white people. They say, Mr. Biden. His Excellency. Even the process that brought it is not an excellent process.
All right, joining us in the studio this morning is Comrade Ruben Izu Jr., a public affairs analyst, chairman NDNAF, Rivers State Chapter, and a voice for Ngeni Kingdom. Good morning.
Good morning, Faustina. Good morning to our listeners.
Okay.
And also to my colleagues here in the studio.
All right.
Sorry, I came a bit late.
It's all right. I guess the weather, something, or traffic.
The traffic.
Oh, traffic. All right. Sorry about that. Oh, welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so
Rivers State during the era of Right Honorable Rotimi tells you the lengthy period that if there is a reimbursement, it could take. I am not expecting that he is saying this because he is expecting that money should be paid right away, but he might as well just be putting the president-elect on the know what has happened. But rightly, like what Ogaima said, I remember vividly that within that period, the federal government reimbursed Rivers State and some other states. The Minister for Works then, I think he still is, Fashola, rightly stated it clear that no state should embark on federal road projects without at least liaising with the federal government. They should be on the know so that they can as well work in hand with the state to as well know, because you know how this thing works. Sometimes you use 5,000 to do the road. At the end of the day, you demand for 15,000 and all the rest. So I think for that was clear. But to the extent at which the Rivers State government must have embarked on some of these projects that are actually for federal government, I don't know the extent he liaised before embarking on the roads, and haven't seen that even if he does, it might not, Rivers State might not be reimbursed within this administration. It might come in the next administration, which is the president-elect which visited Rivers State. So to me, I don't see that demand. From what he said, and I listened keenly, he wasn't even talking to the president-elect. He was making mention of what he has done, pertaining the federal. He wasn't demanding, telling him. I listened to it, I watched that clearly. He wasn't telling him for a refund. He was telling him what he has done, most of the projects he has done, mentioning different areas that are actually federal roads.
Right.
Then for the president-elect responding to, it's not a surprise to me. I think it's rather a surprise to most of the followers who must have felt like, for quite some time, the opposition governor and president-elect, as it is, are ordinarily enjoying some sort of synergy. They are enjoying some robust relationship. So perhaps there should be a way the president-elect should have responded, not in that, I don't owe you. That's why you saw that sarcastic laugh, kind of smile from the governor, because people felt like with the way they've known recent times, the relationship between the two, maybe they felt like he will just brush that away with not that hard response, like, I am
Not
not
so direct.
owing you. Yeah. So I think that's where the whole thing has been given attention. But on a nutshell, he's also been right. When I watched the banquet, the hosting at the banquet in Government House, I think he substantiated what a lot of persons may not follow up after the commission anything on behalf of the country. That clears what he earlier said. He just used that to clear that as for Wike, even if he has some days to go, he can sign something as a governor on behalf of the state to handle a certain thing. But for him, whatever he does now is his personal money. Of course. He made that clear. I watched the banquet till about 12 midnight or thereabout.
Okay.
When I also noticed the arrival of the first batch of our fleeing students.
From Sudan.
I watched it live.
One of them.
I watched it live. It was live on channels. They arrived about 11:30 p.m. But from different federal government agencies who tried to talk to them and certain paper documentation and go. I think they started coming down from the flight about 5 minutes past 12. I followed it up live. Okay. So that was when the banquet was also rounding up. And when I listened to the president-elect, I think I wouldn't fault him in that language because you elected him as an individual, but right now he's the president-elect of the federation. Mm-hmm. So if he's doing anything now in appreciation, the way some person looked at it, it is personal. You won't be looking at him like he's appreciating. You know, like it is being done in this. It's just that this winner takes it all syndrome has eaten so much deep inside of us. Otherwise, the relationship synergy between the River State governor, who is the PDP governor, and then the president-elect from the APC, ordinarily, that is how democracy should be. When once you have been elected, you are not a president of one party. You are not a governor of one party. You are the governor of everybody in your state, being PDP, APC, ABGA, name it. Until the next 4 years, the citizens now determine if you should continue or not. So for me, the relationship between them is not a surprise. I think so many persons have expected that, this coming, and the way it was arranged and everything, the president will just come and just give the governor a thumbs up in everything he says. You know how it is. I remember vividly also when the Speaker House of Reps, Femi Gbajabiamila, was here to commission the State Assembly quarters. I think so, the residential quarters of the State Assembly. There was a little jab, kind of, from the House of Reps speaker to the governor based on what he demanded. But these things are normal within the polity as we find ourselves. But people should not take it to heart. Yesterday, I saw a renowned TV host in Rufai, an anchor man in Arise News or so. I saw it in his Twitter page, kind of mocking the governor that with all you did, all they could tell you is we are not owing you. That tells you when such people put out such things, people who will read down will begin to deduce different meanings from what actually transpired there. Whereas the man is letting you know he's not owing you as an individual. Maybe when he's there as a government, yet he's not yet a government. When he's there as a government, he cannot begin to look at how to reimburse. See, people don't understand. Tinubu is an academician. Huh? Understand what I mean? Tinubu in person is an academician, and when I mean an academician, it might not be in practice.
Of course.
The way he uses his word, it's only an academician that can use words to confuse people. Who else? No. I'm asking you, who else?
No, not an academician. Don't use words to confuse people.
You will not.
Okay. It's all right.
You will say that from your own profession, but you will not understand his language. And when he has used that word clearly, it tells you when he comes, he has already appreciated the man that he wouldn't have been this without that. Yet he's telling you that he doesn't owe him as Tinubu. Not when he becomes, if paraventure, like you rightly said, let me borrow your word, if sworn in, he will now begin to think of states. And that is where he rightly used that word. And a lot of persons are still faulting that word. That word is normal in a democratic setting. Lobbying. Even till the advanced so-called Senate clients, what they do is lobbying. It's not that the truth is our own lobbying here is bribing. But they hide under that word lobbying is bribing. Ordinarily, lobbying in the real sense is where you talk sense into somebody, convince somebody why this should be this.
Okay.
That is when you talk about lobbying. But here, we believe that you take Ghana must go to somebody's house. Even when he's seeing that this thing is black, you come out tomorrow and say it's green. that you have lobbying him. But in the normal sense, they lobby even in the UK. They lobby in the US. Every Senate climb, they lobby. They instead of lobby. How did they manage to? Donald Trump was having majority of the House. How did they manage to process the impeachment? They must have looked at the attack on the Capitol and looked at his excesses at that time minute, and the minority must have talked to the majorities, and they agreed on a common front of national interest to do that. That is lobbying.
At the error in what he said, maybe in another event, you begin to see how you can punish it to take yourself away from the backlash that it is generating. The word lobbying for a president of the country is not a word. The right word is the government will look into that matter if it is brought before the government. You see, that is to tell you that most of our leaders, they are so intellectually bereft. In fact, they don't read and also compare what happens with their counterparts all over the world, how they deliver some certain statement that no one can hold them
accountable.
Yes, and that is why some of them who cannot manage such situation should depend on their media aids to dish out, so that they don't hold you personally. If your media aid made that error, yes, it could be attributed to you, but you can say, look, I did not make that statement. So, and again, I want to say this. Now, Bola Tinubu, by this time, should not even be saying something he said about yes on weekend. Honestly speaking, saying, look, you stood by this thing and all those stuff and all those stuff and all those stuff. Do you know that you will be also hurting the people that this thing naturally by equity and justice ought to go to, and not even Southwest? You'll be hurting them.
Okay, I think you're tilting towards another kind of debate, but let's move on from there.
I see, Faustina.
Yeah.
The truth is always very bitter. What I see in what transpired between the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, and Bola Tinubu is malarrangement. If anybody is telling me it was an individualized something, he would have talked to him before coming on air that, okay, you see, we are going to, we will mention something about this road, so, and your administration is going to pay us back. We hope you, maybe that's the kind of lobbying Tinubu is talking about. But what I'm telling you is that when the governor talked to him and talked about, to be fair to the governor of this money. He mentioned even the governor-elect in his own administration.
Speaker, says Dogua. There's another headline that says, why I deserve. Okay, but let me just go through this one and probably go through the other one before we make our analysis. The majority leader of the House of Representatives, Alhassan Dogua, yesterday declared his intention to run for the speakership of the 10th National Assembly, saying his 4 wives and 28 children are proofs he would succeed as the speaker. Speaking at an event in Abuja, Dogua, who represents the Tundum Wada Dogua Federal Constituency of Kano State, also said he had paid his dues to the party, stressing it was now time to reward him with the position. This is more like it's my turn. His statement came as a response to criticism that he lacked the competence and right temperament to replace the current speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, due to his erratic behavior. He said, and I quote, even as a chief whip of the House of Representatives, I did not exhibit any high temperament. For those who refer to me as a high-level temperamental person, they have misperceived Ado Dogua, the man who has 4 wives and 28 children. I have never had a divorce. That shows I have what it takes to excel as the next speaker. I will be a carpet for Nigerians to match or walk on. Wow. Okay. Yeah, but let me look for the other one, saying why I deserve to be speaker to succeed. Okay, found it. It's on the Guardian newspaper as well. Let me see if the reasons are different. Why I deserve to succeed Gbajabiamila as speaker by Dogua. Majority Leader of the House of Representatives, Al-Hassan Ado Dogua, yesterday declared to become Speaker of the 10th Assembly. During the formal declaration in Abuja, the member representing Dogua Tundu Wada Federal Constituency of Kano State said he has paid his dues, like the outgoing occupant, Femi Gbajabiamila, to be entrusted with the task of overseeing proceedings of the lower legislative chamber. He pledged cohesion and harmonious working relationship among the three arms of government if elected into office. Dogua promised to ensure implementation of the renewed Hope 2023 action plan for a better Nigeria of the president-elect Ahmed Tinubu. The Kano's lawmaker also vowed to lead a house that would promote good governance, transparency, and accountability in legislative processes, besides ensuring that every Nigerian, irrespective of social class, creed, or background, has a voice and is well represented. Calling on leadership of the ruling All Progressives Congress to cede the speakership to Kano based on its contribution to the party's electoral feats since the 2015 elections. Dogua faulted the notion that he lacked the temperament to preside over affairs of the Green Chamber. He argued that having served in various capacities locally and internationally, including being chief whip and majority leader, spoke volumes of his leadership qualities. Dogua said, and I quote, "I plead with my colleagues from the zone to extend to me a privilege, not by right, the same Gbajabiamila treatment, because as the saying goes, what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. I have paid my dues. It is time to reward my stewardship to both the parliament and the nation. Kindly permit me to take you a little down memory lane." Okay, we don't want to go back down memory lane because of time. That seems to like a long journey way back. But he's saying, I deserve to be a speaker of the 10th Assembly of the House of Representatives because, I've paid my dues. I don't know what the dues he is talking about, but he said he has paid his dues. And based on criticisms that have come, for him, saying he has a, temper issue and all of that, he said, well, I have 4 wives and 28 children. I've never been divorced, meaning I can hold down my family. If I can hold down my family, then I think I can hold down, a position such as this, the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And I'm wondering, are those the qualities that we need, for someone to be a speaker? Are we doing almost everything now based on, Miloko, it's my turn.
Well, for Senna, for the Goa, Emmanuel Ndukwe will mark him 0. Yes. The reason is simple. Instead of you to tell us every other thing, you are telling us that you have a village as your family. A village. 28 children.
4 wives.
And 4 wives. That means he can go more and then have up to 60 or 100 children. And for him, that's the qualifying mark to be the speaker.
Probably that's one.
You see, let me tell you one thing. When he is saying that he has 4 wives and then 28 children, everybody in the house there, I'm not talking about entire Nigeria or Nigerians. Do we know his family? We don't. How many times he quarrel with them and he exhibit that anomaly of maybe fits of anger as alleged? Do we know? We don't know. I have never heard about him quarreling with his family. And it's not every family I know. But you see, charity, they say, begins at home. And his home as it stands is his office in the House of Representatives. And his colleagues, I'm sure that the allegation is coming from among his colleagues. We have to take it very seriously. And somebody that will come and be exhibiting the high level of maybe annoyance on certain issues that could amicably be resolved should not be given that kind of privilege. It's a privilege, it's not a right. So when he's saying he has paid his dues, I'm just taking it that he has been in the legislative chamber of the House of lower chamber, and he has participated in all the right things he should participate in and all that. Because who has not paid his dues there? Who? Let him point at one person. So for me, I just say that for me, since he's talking about how many number of persons he has in his family, 4 wives. That's 7 for instance. I don't know how they have them, but that's 7 times 4, I think it's 28. That settles it. So it's not the best criteria.
And he talked about his state, Kano State, contributing to the different elections from 2015 till now.
Well,
should that also be a criteria for?
That should, because it's in democratic process, it should be a criteria. They have supported the party since it's his party that wins. And if they have been supporting his party, but remember that they didn't win this time round. Maybe after tribunals or also if they fight case, we may know the exact. But for now, according to the declaration, NP, is it whatever PDP, Kwakwanso party? That,
NPP.
NPP that won the election as governor. But in maybe other positions, if the APC performed very well also, I think it tallies to give that as a point. But you see that of 4 wives and 28 children, it should be marked 0.
Okay. Dr. Vidima.
The way I feel.
That's your feeling. That's your opinion.
These are people who made this country a laughing stock before the war. Look at the kind of glories he's attributing to himself. 4 wives and 20.
Yeah, he's been able to, control his family.
And which means he's not qualified to be the speaker of this because he doesn't he doesn't have the creativity to convert some population for productivity. He would have created 2 football clubs. From those children, is it not 11 that make up a team?
Other fields being productive.
They make up a team. And they could form 2 formidable football clubs and any income.
Dr. Bidima, they could be in other productive ventures.
Which are productive ventures that? No, he would have mentioned them now, if they are now, because he had not told us he had 28 children. Who asked him how many children? Must he announce to somebody how many children he have to become
That's because
speaker?
They've been criticizing him,
yes.
temperament and everything.
Yeah, I want to also tell you, even marrying 4 wives, that means that he's temperamental. Because anybody who cannot stick to 1 wife, it's just to ease tension because of the problem the other woman is creating, because it's not easy to really.
In your opinion?
Yes, it's not easy to even stay with. Maybe you get a wife that is so cantankerous, is so this thing that he just go for a second one to ease that tension to ensure that. So he's guilty as he's accused. So he should not have even brought these things out. That is private life. Why must we use a private life to evaluate him? When I mean relationship with your wife, the number of wives and children you have, to now begin to assess you if you can head an institution of government, an organ of government. It has nothing to offer. These are people who don't have clear leadership vision of what they ought to contribute in this nation for the advancement of this nation. And now look at it, is he has paid his dues.
Yes.
Is the due you paid, is it more than the dues of the 133 million people that are in poverty, who don't have anything to earn at the end of the month, at the end of the day? But you are somewhere, you say you pay your dues, going home with millions of naira every month. What due did you pay? Do you know other people who have been making sacrifice? What of those professors who have been making research and pay peanuts? What of our medical doctors who are saving life? During the COVID-19, some of them died. Some of them were on danger lists. But how much are they paid? I say you paid their dues. You paid their due more than who? The way we reason, the black man, reason, And that is why when these people look at us, our brothers, the white ones, look at us, they still see that we are still at the primitive stage, both of development and reasoning. Instead of saying, look, this is what I'm bringing into legislative activities.
Right.
These are the kind of flow I intend to pursue. That you're not telling us you have 4 wives and 28 children.
Okay.
You have for those create 2 teams for them, club teams. Then make your wives their referees.
It's all right. Let's move on from that football.
I hear because the coach.
Like I said, they could be involved in other productive ventures, but
he would have told us.
Ruben, okay, you probably should ask him when you see him. Ruben is Junior.
I've always told Danny that if not for the fact that some headlines news find them the way into the news papers headlines, they are not really worth talking about. Honestly speaking, we should talk issue pace. Dogoa is just a clown here.
Well, you said he deserves the speakership position.
I have listened to you keenly. If you have made mention of him reeling out bills he sponsored, motions and all the rest, his activity from when he was elected as member House of Reps representing his federal constituency to this moment, and what he is capable of doing if he becomes the speaker, then we can be talking about assessing, x-raying his performance and all the rest. That's all he could see as the yardstick for him becoming the Speaker of the House is using to convince his 4 wives and 28 children. Wow, very funny. That tells you the kind of people we elect into office. I don't know. I think he tries to go to what the Bible said in 1 Timothy chapter 3, I think 1-3, that made mention of if anyone aspire to be a deacon or bishop or so, the person should be a husband of 1 wife and should be able to take care and control his household before thinking. I think he's trying to come from, I don't know what the Quran said because he is a Muslim. I don't know if the Quran I have said what the Bible said because what he is trying to say comes from that direction.
Yeah.
So for him to use that as yardstick for him to be qualified to be here, I think he's just trying to deduce it, but I don't know what the Quran said. If the Quran said you must be a husband of as many wives and as many children.
No,
because
but
I can't really see.
That's coming because of criticisms he has received.
No. First thing, let us just be, as a public office holder, why will you use your family as a yardstick towards...
Replying them that he doesn't have temperament issues. If I can take care of my family.
Okay, haven't a man with just 1 wife and sometimes no child or maybe 1 or 2 having a temperamental issue? So why will that become... No, it's actually... No, see, he has to clear us of his temperamental issue, not with his family, but with his activities just after during the elections. It is temperamental issue that gotten him into trouble, where he's been alleged that he fired arms, where it's been alleged that in anger gave the directives when they burnt some persons from his constituency, and that led to police arresting him. He should begin to explain to us from that direction. I'm even surprised what led to a man going that extent that the people you want to govern, you have been alleged to have given directive that they should be burnt, and you took the firearm of one of your security guards to be shooting at. I don't know. You should be explaining to us from that angle. I'm not trying to explaining your temperamental issue with the number of wives and children you have. What a mess. See, this is the reason why if international communities are really reading our newspapers, because our newspapers outside the shores of this country are not worth reading. What kind of rubbish is this one? You're coming to, as old as he has served in the National Assembly, he cannot tell us a motion, a bill, whatever he has done in his state to be meriting the speakership is his 4 wives and 28 children. That is the yardstick.
As well as the dues that he has paid in his party.
You said?
He said he has paid his dues.
And what is the dues he narrowed down, other than his family yardstick? He said, I have paid my dues. A man of 4 wives and 28 children. That tells you. And Faustina, he did not say, I have paid my dues. With the bills before me, motions from 2001 or 2010, I was elected. These are the big. That is, he should be reeling out his contribution in the Green Chamber. If he started from the state level of assembly, or if you want to give us entire retrospect, your political years you spent politically, tell us what you have done. That is why you married this leadership, and that is why they gave you the majority leader. Fine, okay, okay. I get. Maybe I don't know, but when he was elected in the 9th assembly as leader of the majority leader, I don't know if the party also used these 4 wives and 28 children as yardstick to qualify him above others. Because the way he's beating strongly, I'm just coming down now. The way the way he's beating strongly, it seems like he edged above others with the number of wives and children. So he's not looking at any other thing. It's coming down because among the contenders to be speakers, I don't know anyone that has 2 wives. I don't know. So
even if they have,
maybe the house rule has been very funny for Steve.
Okay, all right. I think we'll need to go on the news break now. But let me take a few messages before we do so. This one here says, "Good morning, Faustina. Good morning. With regard to the clemency being sought by the National Assembly for Senator Ikuramadu, it is important to know that this is a criminal case, not a political one. Moreover, we are talking about the people who call blue blue and red red, not people who call green yellow and tell you to go to court if you don't agree. I don't think the Prime Minister or King Charles will do anything for now." Owalaka Valentine. Okay, thank you very much. This one says, okay. Ogaima, Ani, okay, it's Faustina and all in the studio. Tinubu will not and cannot do anything in life without... come on now. Come on. Okay, so I'll just move on from that one. This one says... Okay. This one is directed at Ruben Izu. "I am suspecting you have been oiled from the ruling party PDP in River State. Looking back at your comments and reactions on radio in the past, Tinubu's statement to Wike is not personal, but direct word to Wike that Tinubu, is not part of Wike's demand to Tinubu's government. If sworn in as president, Mr. Izu should note this." This is from Sam. Okay, Sam, thank you very much. But I've got to go for the news now. News update comes up in... just now. So we'll go for that break and we'll come back. The program continues. Stick around. This is still Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
This is Today 95.1 FM. To copy this tune, press 9.
This is Today 95.1 FM.
For current news and information, press 5.
They are politicians, all of them. They know what they do.
So they know how they attack each other.
To stay connected all day, press 1.
The person who raised the name is the one who made the public know about it.
Good afternoon and welcome to the World News and World Premium Talk Radio.
We are your premium talk radio station. Today 95.1 FM. The station with a unique dial.
Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM.
Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. News update.
Hello and good morning. Here's a news update on Today 95.1 FM Port Harcourt. I am Faustina Oputu. The Senate has approved the restructuring of the controversial 22.719 trillion naira Ways and Means advances, ostensibly to ensure that the government was not shut down. The upper chamber gave the approval after considering a report from its ad hoc committee, which noted that the federal government repeatedly borrowed from the Central Bank of Nigeria, in the process exceeding the 5% threshold of the previous year's revenue as stipulated by the CBN Act. President Muhammadu Buhari's request for the National Assembly to restructure the Ways and Means advances were met with suspicion and opposition by federal lawmakers in the Senate. The president's letter to the Senate, which was read on the floor on December 21, 2022, explained that the Ways and Means of advances given to the federal government by the Central Bank of Nigeria are for emergency funding of delayed receipt of fiscal deficit. However, some senators were opposed to approving the overdraft, explaining that it contravened the Constitution and the CBN Act. Leading the Senate in the debate for the approval of the Ways and Means, the Senate leader, Ibrahim Gobe, explained that part of the money was given as loans to states. Justice Binta Yako of the Federal High Court Abuja has warned lawyers to the Department of State Services and the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, against truncating proceedings in the next adjourned date. Justice Yako gave the warning following the proceeding that could not go on due to an oral application by counsel to the DSS, Idowu Awo, seeking more time to respond to a further affidavit served on him by Kanu's lawyer, Mike Ozekome, in the open court. Nnamdi Kanu, through his lawyers, had sued the DSS and its Director General, praying the court for permission to apply for an order of mandamus, compelling the DSS to allow him have unhindered access to his medical doctor, amongst others. A chief magistrate's court sitting in the Sabo area of Yaba, Lagos, has granted bail to a leader of the Igbo community, the Eze Igbo of Ajao Estate, Frederick Nwajagu. The 67-year-old was docked before the court for allegedly threatening to bring the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra to the state. Chief Magistrate Peter Waka granted the defendant bail in the sum of 1 million naira with 4 sureties, all of whom must reside in Lagos. Before the court granted the defendant bail, the prosecution had made an oral application to the effect that the remand order of the court still subsists, pending the receipt of the DPP's advice. While noting that the DPP advice had not been received, the magistrate also noted that no acknowledgement had come from the DPP's office on the matter. And on the foreign scene, Russia's ex-president Dmitry Medvedev has called for the physical elimination of Ukraine's president Volodymyr Zelensky after Moscow accused Kiev of a drone attack on the Kremlin. Russia said it has shot down 2 drones aimed at President Vladimir Putin's Kremlin residence in what is called a Ukrainian terrorist assassination attempt. Despite the claims, Kiev said it had nothing to do with the alleged attack, suggesting it was staged by Moscow, while the U.S. said the report should be taken with a shaker of salt. Meanwhile, President Volodymyr Zelensky has denied Moscow's claim that Ukraine had attempted to assassinate Russian leader Vladimir Putin after Russia said 2 drones were shot down over the Kremlin. Moscow said Putin was not hurt and there was no casualties. And that was a news update on Today 95.1 FM Port Hackett. Good morning. I'm Faustina Oputu. Thanks for listening.
Today's news, today's entertainment, today's sports, today's issues. Today on Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
When the weather becomes strict and everything becomes unsteady, the only way to go is tune to Today 95.1 FM. And the world of information, entertainment, and education will be served as breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Welcome to the show. You're listening to Today's Quest. The newspaper review segment is what we've
now
got.
Now, says I can't bring the party to your house right now. Because, even if it's raining, I still bring the heat right here.
I am here for you, and I know you are here for me.
It is surely the best 15 minutes of football you can find anywhere on radio.
Back here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. Today, 95.1 FM. Nothing but the best. Nothing but the best.
95.1 FM, voice of the people.
And we're back.
Welcome back to today's quest on Today 95.1 FM. Before we move on to the next headline, let me go over to Facebook and read some of the comments that you've dropped there. Do well to go there as well to drop a comment. It's at Today 95.1 FM. Read the headlines. Read the details of the headline so you know exactly how you're dropping your comment. And please reference the headline that you are reacting to. All right. Amity Prince says NWC fails to zone National Assembly leadership seats. Without being told, we should know that this Tinubu government will be worse than that of Buhari. Every key position is being allocated to the North and Muslims. You sure about that? Take it or leave it. The next Senate president will come from North. This is why they don't want something zoning arrangements. Okay, let's just wait and see where it comes from. I won't marginalize any part of Nigeria, says Tinubu. Mr. Tinubu should know that campaign is over. This is not a time to promise, but a time for him to prepare himself to rewrite the wrong of APC and Buhari by knowing who his ministers and personal assistants should be on time, because this country is in a state, you meant, of comatose and needs urgent attention. Where Medino says, project refund, I owe you nothing. Tinubu tells Wike, actually, Tinubu is just like a citizen of Nigeria. He invited to come and commission projects. We have a sitting president that Wike is supposed to channel his request to, and not Tinubu that has not known his faith. For all he knows is the president-elect. Samuel Honda says, good morning everyone in the studio, especially Chief Ogaima. On the news about the return of our brothers and sisters in Sudan to Nigeria last night was a good one by the PMB government. But it's coming coming with so many delays by Onyema and Abike. Please, Chief Ogaima, those two people should tell us what happened to the money given to them by PMB to bring our brothers and sisters back from Sudan, when other nations that Nigeria is bigger than have been able to reach and brought their citizens in Sudan safely without all the shame these two people brought up upon Nigeria to the international communities. Please, it's a shame that they are giving them 100K in this hard time I feel for Nigeria. On Tinubu's statement yesterday in Port Harcourt, yes, it's a good statement from him because he is not the president yet. It's when he gets there, he will do something about it. On Governor Wike, the POS of Africa, and the governor with capital. Okay, I want to congratulate him for all he has done in Rivers State and in the area of infrastructure by giving Rivers State a new face. Okay, here is number one. Okay. On the segment of Federal House of Rep Majority Leader, is laughable. It's a laughable one because it's the same statement the late Idi Amin of Uganda made when he said, "Ask my wives, Chai, how will the family take this statement?" I rest my case. Okay. Project refund, I owe you nothing. Amity Pri says, Mr. Tinubu is spot on in this regard. Rivers State governors always being used by federal might at the end of their tenure. Obasanjo did it to orderly. What exactly are you talking about? Okay. Chile Edwin says, project refund, I owe you nothing. Tinubu tells Wike, indeed, Tinubu knows better because the bridges and gutters built by Wike is linking only between him and his Julius Berger, as those bridges cannot provide any kind of jobs for the citizen. They didn't provide any job. who has suffered for 8 years. Yeah, the governor is still making demands as though he's continuing in office, and I'm wondering how Rivers people got here. Adio KCC says, I won't marginalize any part of Nigeria, says Tinubu is a political statement. You think it's a political statement? I mean, some of the comments you drop there, you're talking about people, so you should be civil, and you're dropping them on a public space. It doesn't tell good of you. Even if I know I wouldn't read it, but I should say it. So next time, you know better, do better. And Where Medino says, INEC to prosecute 774 poll offenders, enters working arrangement with NBA. That's a good one. I hope Mahmoud is among the offenders because he breached a contractual agreement with Nigerians. He will also be charged with wastage of public funds, mistrust, deceit, sabotage, and bribery. Well, I hope you can prove all of these, though. We all know what Beavers worked well at Chatham House, London. And mock accreditation in Nigeria. How come he refused to use it on presidential election, and same worked in the National Assembly polls? There was a deliberate action to rig the election. He must be among the poll offenders. Chile Edwin says, 26 days to go. Outrage as Senate approves extra budgetary funds for Buhari. It's quite ridiculous for Nigerians to be crying over nothing, and I'm wondering if the government should shut down because before the exit of PMB, or that PMB will be carrying the funds to Dara as he leaves office, as this is how they have been crying wolf about the borrowed funds rather than trying to know what the funds are being used for, while the almighty America is the most indebted country in the world. On Sudan, first group of evacuees arrive Abuja. Chile Edwin says, this is most cheering, and this is the reason why Nigerians must appreciate what they have, not always spewing trash with Jakba and no Jakba, but will always fall back to Nigeria when trouble comes, as there can be no country better than Nigeria. Okay, thank you very much for that one. So you too can go there, drop a comment. I will head back there before the end of the show to read some more comments. Today, 95.1 FM. That's a handle on Facebook, so go there and do the needful. All right, we're back to the papers now. This one from the Nation newspaper with the headline, I won't marginalize any part of Nigeria, Tinubu pledges. President-elect Bola Tinubu said yesterday gave a hint about what will be his style of governance after his inauguration on May 29. He ruled out the marginalization of any zone, assuring that he would work with every component unit for public good. Tinubu spoke in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, where he inaugurated the Rumokuta-Rumola flyover bridge, a project implemented by his host, Governor Nyesom Wike. Tinubu, who is on a 2-day visit to the South-South, said, and I quote, I will not marginalize any region, but will leave legacy projects across the length and breadth of Nigeria. The president-elect praised Wike for his developmental strides, particularly for the 12 flyovers constructed across the capital city, saying prosperity would be kind to him. He said with his accomplishments, Nigeria would need the outgoing River State governor in higher capacities. There was excitement as the aircraft conveying the president-elect landed at the Port Harcourt International Airport, Omagua, around 10 a.m. Okay, so bottom line is this is another promise by the president-elect saying, I will not marginalize any part of the country. I'm going to work with all the component units of the country to make sure that, we develop towards the direction that we need to develop to. Emmanuel Ndukwe, well, is this just a political statement or?
Unfortunately, I see it that way because, it would have beaten me hollow if he has said he will marginalize. He mentions all the geopolitical zones that he will marginalize, and then he won't also have projects in those regions, in those maybe geopolitical zones. So what he said is just the normal thing any president-elect will say. When I come in, Even the current president makes similar statements now. So is it going to be different? Until it happens before we know exactly whether he is keeping to it or not. But as for saying this kind of thing, it's just formality. We must expect this. He can't come in and say, no, he's going to be hostile to this particular geopolitical zone and hostile to the... no, he must say something that will make people happy and they have anticipation of him to come in.
So you don't see this beyond, just a political statement?
I don't see beyond what I have said until... In fact, let me cap it up. Seeing will be believing.
Seeing will be You're going to be a Thomas on this one. All right, Dr. Obidima. Do you think this is also a political statement as well? And nothing...
What do you even expect from this generation of politicians? I don't know what else you're expecting. We have not gotten the paradigm shift we're expecting as far as leadership is concerned. Tinubu belongs to the old jaded structure that makes statements and deny. Do you know that he has started denying some of the things that is even his policy document? Tinubu talked that this issue of removal of subsidy that will be removed, but he's changing that. Recently, he said he did not say that they are going to remove that, they are going to look at it. So to tell you that nothing, any Nigerian that is expecting anything different from this, the thing we know about them, is dreaming. And come to say about it. In fact, this is a man that is head statue is still a thing that should worry Nigerians.
Okay, so has it already into the conversation at the moment? I mean, what has that got to do with this?
Yes, it has, because it cannot, all those things just saying. I'm sure maybe there are things that are written for him to read. It's not that it's something he thought out to say. And at the end of the day, where will it be to even implement this? Is it maybe Nigeria? 1 month in Nigeria, 1 month outside Nigeria for medical trips? And the cabal will take over the government, run the government in the way they will benefit. In fact, the Nigerian brand of oligarchs. And all they are interested is how to share our common patrimony. For me, at the age I am today, having seen all of this to this age, Tinubu should stop deceiving people. That is going to carry who along.
And
he has a lot of
component.
In fact, he has a lot of things to explain before it's even sworn in. Tinubu should come out clear. We should engage him. People they should ask Tinubu questions. Journalists should ask him questions about the thing we're hearing about him. Let him talk to people. Because it is difficult, very difficult for me, maybe my family, and the person I know his life very well, and they make him the chief of my family. You think I'll be comfortable if he has some baggages he's carrying? You think I will be comfortable with such this thing? No. And they say this issue of God allows any leader. People should stop insulting God.
All right, thank you very much. After May 29, if he's sworn in as a president, well, I don't know what you want to do about it. Would you?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. You see, when Donald Trump came on board in America, some people never at all, until he left, they were not happy with him. And what is that unhappiness? It's because of certain things they talked about Trump, about tax issues and all those stuff and all those things. You know, how will this guy who is evading tax, it's really bugged his personality and his administration. And one thing is that they were also interrogating it. Whether he was evading or not, he was also making explanations. But that's what we want replicated here.
Okay.
Tinubu should be asked questions about his drug-related life, about other criminal tendencies. Then, the point there is that, talk to us. You invaded that thing during the campaigns. And you are still making promises that, how do you deal with drug issues in Nigeria? We want to know.
Okay, but you probably would find out when he becomes the president. Emmanuel,
Faustina, just something I want to clear before going to Ruben. You see, if I am sick now, I'm very sure that Dr. Bidima will be wishing me to recover.
Right.
If Tinubu is sick, Nigerians hope that he recovers.
True.
As for May 29th, I have said it severally to those who care to listen. As far as Nigeria and his political system is concerned, he will be sworn in. And then after that, you know, the stage has been set already to know whether he truly won or he didn't. But he will be sworn in. And then the court will come out with its verdict. If it's the traditional verdict that anybody that has been sworn in will remain, we see it. If it changes, if it's reached the time that Nigerians will get their deliverance, as it were, it changes, another person takes over. But whether he is a president or not, we hope that his health is intact.
Okay. All right. Ruben Izu.
Well, we have heard if it were to be, if our development or style of governance is to be resting on our campaign promises and manifestos, I think we would have had no reason sometimes to sit here and talk much about bad governance, because we've had sometimes, in most cases, very good campaign promises and manifestos. But we discovered that when they get into office, like this administration that is about going out now, they've told you that with all the bogus manifestos and the campaign promises that they came into government to realize that they were not realistic. You understand? They can't realize most of those, none of them, if I should say. And apologies and blame games going left and right. I think you don't expect Tinubu, like you listening to him. I listened to him carefully yesterday. He recognized the fact that he was abused. He recognized that bad languages were used at him. He recognized that he wasn't accepted. That he came into the position as president-elect like a thread going through the eyes of the needle. He made a statement clear that now a lot of persons have looked at the man in Tinubu, the problem before us as a people. He's coming on the time when people like Tiwa Danjuma, Olusegun Obasanjo, and Wole Soyinka, a lot of all these former leaders and co have made mention of how deep the Nigerian state has been divided across party lines, ethnic lines, religious, and all the rest. It will be how will I put it? It will be so disastrous. Even before now, I made mention of it. One of those days we were on radio, I said it will be so disastrous for whoever that will be the president-elect to find it difficult to see how we can amend fences to unite the country. The extent at which in the Senate climes, what they know is your nationality. Other things might be embedded in your document, like state of origin and co. But right here, the extent at which even within the state, the extent at which the consciousness has been so much that people want to know where if you're coming from a majority, if you're coming from a minority. You know, they ask down after knowing state of origin. They ask the place of birth. They ask so many questions. These are things that tells you how conscious we find. Ordinarily, haven't been interviewed that you are genuinely a Nigerian, Where you come from shouldn't matter. We see the situation whereby the consciousness in Nigerians, religious-wise, ethnic-wise, politically, is so high to the point where when you're traveling, the notion currently now, when you're traveling and you have a certain kind of issue on the road with security agencies, even if you are not from the north and you manage to speak the Hausa language, it seems like you have some level of leniency. We are all Nigerians. Even if I speak Yoruba to explain what really happened, even if I speak Igbo or speak Ngene, as long as I'm a Nigerian, holding my national identity, I should be given some level of understanding. But here you are seeing a situation whereby an Igbo man in control, he has an Igbo language, gives the person a consent, even during interviews. Now he is telling you now that when he comes, he will carry everywhere along. I listened to, I think, the secretary or one of the, either secretary or something, somebody from the north, the Arewa Consultative Forum. He was on national television yesterday. He said he's not a politician. But ordinarily, we know how the country is formed. We have a reason why we formed the Federal Character Commission. This is because of our multinational diversity. We formed that Federal Character System because we want to carry, see, no matter how, even till the, what's they call it, polygamous home, if the man is wealthy, you see how things are ordinarily shared among maybe like dog. I
knew it.
He should tell us how he has managed, because that will become him giving the mother, according to the number of children each of them has, $50,000, $1,000 or whatever, to take care of their personal cooking, because they will not be cooking together. So you will discover that if you are not careful, like he is, that's why I said you will be more experienced to explain what I'm trying to do now. I will struggle because I'm not in that position, but I will do the little I can. When you operate such kind of family, like he said he is, you will find it difficult, because the children of one of the wives will definitely see what the other children from the other mother is actually getting, that is trickling down to the children, and to them it seems like there's a little division in this house. Daddy prefers one family more than this one. How will these children wear both Christmas and New Year clothes, and for we are wearing just only that of Christmas? It seems like, Daddy, you must, for you to have peace, you must. The Federal Character System is also trickling down to the family, and so our president has begged that Nigerians should not be afraid. He is aware of the extent at which this division has eaten deep, that he will ensure that it carries every part. And the first litmus test for this incoming administration, from the little I'm seeing now, is the leadership tussle in the National Assembly.
Okay. All right.
That's the first leadership litmus test given to this incoming administration in respect to carrying everywhere along. Because when I listened to that Arewa man of it, he made mention of when the president comes from here, the vice comes from here, the Senate president comes from here, the Speaker of the House of Reps. There is a way you share certain positions, and everybody has this sense of belonging, and we move forward. But honestly speaking, like I said even before the 2023 election, if an Igbo man, that's the Southeast, is not carried along based on even this Federal Character Syndrome thing, we have bastardized this in this current administration anyway. Otherwise, from 1999 to now, ordinarily, we know power, like he also said, is not served a la carte, but sometimes we have genuine reasons to ensure that because of this, all fingers are not equal. Igbo man from the East ordinarily should be ruling this country, but being as it may currently, if they want to still balance it, I am of the opinion too, I don't know if they can adjust the house rule because of the way it is, the senators from the Southeast and the rep members. Otherwise, I am telling you, for them to have missed out on the vice president, missed out on this president of the elect, as it were, I think they should be given the speakership or the Senate president. I can see genuine Northerners who want unity of the country agitating that they are not talking for anybody in the reps or in the Senate, but for fairness, equity. Nobody talks peace without justice. You must ensure peace, justice